Science versus Faith. Fullmetal Alchemist, Brotherhood Philosophy. What philosophical concepts can be found in Fullmetal Alchemist, Brotherhood? You may not realize it if your vague impression of anime is limited to cute animals and big eyes. But, as with American animation, the Japanese export can be surprisingly deep and emotionally effective. With adult themes running through even more childish-looking series, you just need to know how to look for it. Fullmetal Alchemist is one of the most acclaimed anime and manga franchises of recent years. One reason for this is the series' complex take on a variety of real-world subjects. This ranges anywhere from racial tensions and military dominance in government to man's place in the natural balance of the universe. The series was not afraid to tackle many social, psychological, and philosophical questions. Scientific principles in alchemy. In this world, science has essentially taken the form of alchemy. Alchemy itself is a fusion of scientific principles and magical properties, all based around one basic concept: the law of equivalent exchange. This law states that to gain something of value, something of equal value must be lost. Essentially, that means that in alchemy and life, an alchemist cannot create something without losing something in return. This itself is based around the law of matter, stating that matter cannot be created or destroyed but merely changes form. This philosophy extends to Elric's view of the world as well. In an attempt to bring their mother back to life, they assumed that a soul merely required some DNA and physical properties. This caused the ritual to go wrong, with the Alphonse losing his whole body and Edward losing several limbs. What they received was a deformed monstrosity that barely resembled their mother. This mistake would be the primary motivating force for the brothers to seek out a way to reclaim their bodies. Father Cornello and abuse of power. The first episode of the anime opens with a situation that questions the place of religion in society. The two main characters, Edward and Alphonse Elric, have traveled to an isolated city in search of the Philosopher's Stone. This stone is a legendary device using the powers of a god to perform miracles. These include bringing people back from the dead. Edward's suspicions are confirmed that Cornello is using the version of the stone to perform such miracles. Essentially, these miracles are simply alchemy in disguise. Cornello is also using his influence to create a religious following and make followers out of the townspeople worship him as a prophet of sorts. Edward and the audience soon learn that Cornello may not be as well-meaning as he first appears. Walking into a search of the supposed sun god, Edward encounters one of the villagers. This is a young woman named Rose, who is a devoted follower of Cornello's. She is so utterly devoted that she believes Cornello's promise that he can return her lover to life. Edward scoffs at this, claiming Cornello must be a fraud and that her beliefs are foolish. Rose retorts a common argument regarding faith, that science cannot disprove the existence of an omnipotent creator. Edward's own beliefs are heavily rooted in science, being alchemy in this case, and give her an example of hard reality based on scientific observation. Scar and the religious Jihad. The series does not shy away from the fact that both science and religion have very apparent dark sides. The nation of Amistris, whom the Elric brothers serve, once had a major conflict with the nomadic Ishvalans. This war resulted in destruction and death on both sides and nearly led to the genocide of the entire Ishvalan tribe. Drawing possible comparisons to recent events, the Ishvalan conflict is similar to decades-long conflicts within the Middle East. The Ishvalans themselves have a society and religion similar to many Arab cultures. One refugee named Scar has taken it upon himself to wipe out all state alchemists within Amistris. Scar claims that alchemy perverts the natural order, much like some religious fundamentalists claim science may be an affront to God. Scar commits many brutal murders in the name of his religion. In an encounter with Edward, the young alchemist points out to the hypocrisy of using religion as an excuse for vengeance, even if it contradicts the principles of Scar's belief system. What's worse, Scar is using a form of alchemy to exact his revenge. This is a commentary on the often contradictory nature of religious-based terrorism. The nature of the homunculus. One crucial aspect of this balance between religion and science lies with the villains of the series, the homunculus. These creatures are partially human and created by alchemists who attempt to bypass the laws of alchemy by performing human transmutation. This refers back to the mistake that Elric brothers made with their mother. These creatures are a constant reminder of their failure. However, it is worth noting that for a scientific principle that is established as being unbreakable, many alchemists seem to be looking for loopholes. This reflects the darker side of science. It even suggests that there are simply some things mankind may not be ready for. Dr. Frankenstein believed he could conquer death and overreached his authority. Much like the Elrics, he attempted to play God by assuming he knew everything he needed to know. Much like Frankenstein's mother, the homunculus is the perversion of mankind's attempts to break the boundaries of science. Whether or not these creatures are considered fully sentient is left up to debate among the characters. It is interesting that though these monsters were the product of scientific experimentation, some of them consider the possibility of humanity. The Gate and the Truth. The primary idea behind Fullmetal Alchemist is balance, so it is fitting that the series would have a balanced view on the opposing viewpoints of science and religion. As many scholars have pointed out, science and religion have many of the same goals. They just have different ways of approaching them. Ultimately, both deal with defining the concept of existence. One goes by observation and experimentation, while the other deals with ritual and faith. Alchemy in this universe is steeped in scientific observation, but has many mysterious, mystical properties. Whenever an alchemy ritual is performed, it opens up a mysterious portal known as the Gate. This strange dimensional ripple seems to be the source of an alchemist's power, allowing him to transform matter. What this dimension is exactly is surprisingly unknown, despite an entire scientific society basing its beliefs and culture around it. Still, many things are left unknown. For instance, a common question a child may ask is, why is the sky blue? Scientists can explain the chemical reactions in our atmosphere which produce a blue sky. However, they can't explain why it would be blue rather than red or green. Morality, for instance, is not something easily defined by science. Such answers are provided to many people through religion. The spiritual nature of Fullmetal Alchemist is equally as prominent as scientific observation. After all, the series itself is based around almost magical concepts of alchemy. Morality about human life. Morality is relative, or maybe it isn't. Some philosophers believe that morality is relative to the person. Therefore, we cannot hold others to the same moral standards that we possess. However, this causes an issue when it comes to issues such as genital mutilation or animal abuse. If certain practices exist as parts of our specific cultures, do we have the right to step into that space and condemn others for their actions? In Brotherhood, morality fuels the background conflict. The Ishvalan War is caused by a general culture and religious divide between the Ishvalans and the Emestrians, which all came to a head when an Emestrian soldier shot an Ishvalan child. 7 years into the Ishvalan War, state alchemists were brought in and effectively killed many of the Ishvalan people, even the women and children. Mind-body distinction and personhood. The famous philosopher René Descartes developed the idea of the mind-body distinction to further prove the possibility of an immortal soul. Descartes argues that the mind and the body exist as two separate entities. He implies that the destruction of the body does not necessarily equate to the destruction of the mind. This show would not exist without the concept of the mind-body distinction. Alphonse is alive because his mind is implanted within a suit of armor. The armor is an extension of his mind, similarly to what Descartes believes about the human body. Law of equivalent exchange. Brotherhood revolves around one general principle, the law of equivalent exchange. Alphonse's definition of the law states humankind cannot gain anything without first giving something in return. to obtain something of equal value must be lost. This could be compared to the scientific principle of the conservation of energy. Energy does not disappear, but is transformed into some other substance. The law of equivalent exchange can be examined as a philosophical way of viewing life. The show focuses on a general sense of sacrifice that applies to our own lives. Nothing can be attained without giving up something in return, whether it be time, money, or health. So guys, this is it for today's video. If you liked the video, give it a huge thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more anime-oriented content. Also, press the bell icon for more future updates. Farewell till next video. Goodbye.